Parents strongly caution, the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
Duncan Burden. I never thought I'd ever have to talk about this guy again. I thought he rightfully fucked off last week after my previous video came out, but no. Things have gotten exponentially worse. So, you know what? Fuck it. Let's talk about this. So, since my last video on Duncan, his behavior has become really, really fucking not just disturbing, but unhinged. And that's what I'm gonna say. So I'm pretty sure you remember last week on May 3rd. No. So I'm pretty sure you guys remember last week on May 23rd, 2023, when Duncan got outed as a pedophile and a groomer. And like I thought he had rightfully fucked off from the internet and taken down all of his content. But no, he just keeps coming back again and again and again. And despite us repeatedly telling Duncan to fuck off from the internet, it still seems that Duncan needs an extra clue. Because apparently, no matter how many times we told him, he just won't fucking listen. And remember the time that I said that I believed that there would be some form of redemption for him? Apparently I was wrong. Dead fucking wrong. So some recent developments came out about him, and believe me, these things aren't just as bad as I originally let on. They're 10 times worse. So let's get right into this. Let's get into the real shit. So we recently found out yesterday that, well, I don't know how to tell you guys this, but Duncan apparently does not have the capacity for self-awareness or responsibility. So he's recently become manipulative and developed a stalker-like behavior and has become unhinged and depraved. And like I said, one would think he rightfully fucked off for good, like his ex-girlfriend Roszina Head did back in December 2022. But no, instead he's still active on the internet despite being labeled as gone. Based on what I'm seeing here, I am inclined to believe that he's doing this shit for attention. And to add insult to injury, yesterday he recently retweeted an NSFW tweet, even after being outed as a fucking child groomer last week. And you know what? I don't know how to tell you guys this, but bro. So we recently found out that the NSFW image he retweeted was, like, originally we thought that it was an image of Cream the Rabbit, who is in fact 6 years old, but it was actually, but this was later debunked, and it was actually later confirmed to be an image of Vanilla the Rabbit. Yeah, but I'm discovering just now that he unsurprisingly has saved Rule 34 images of Cream before, despite the fact that Cream is 6 years old. So this is 100% illegal. Like, I question why Duncan is fucking doing this. And at this point, I question why he was even on the internet to begin with. And like I said, like, despite us repeatedly telling Duncan to fuck off from the internet, it still seems that Duncan needs an extra clue. So yeah, we're gonna get right into the real shit, because we're gonna be talking about this. There is a Google Doc and a Twitter post from Keegan about everything that Duncan did. All of Duncan's recent atrocities and past atrocities have been documented here, and I'm going to explain this to you guys in full detail. So, Duncan, congratulations. You've done something right, finally, what no one else in the community has done. Not only did you manage to break my heart, but you have managed to legitimately piss me off. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I hope you enjoy yours. I really do, because you've really earned it. Oh, so you thought that Duncan being a pedophile and a groomer and a beggar was bad. Oh, let's take a look at some of the other shit that he did. And believe me, things have gotten 10 times worse. So it turns out that Duncan is actually an abuser. And we're going to get into why. According to a backstory told by Duncan, he abused his two brothers, whose names I'm not going to mention. I'm keeping them anonymous, just for the sake of keeping them anonymous, to protect the identity of the innocent, and got violent with them, which resulted in them kicking Duncan out of the house. He resorted to violence, beating the shit out of them whenever a fight would break out, and it got too powerful for them to continue handling this fucking man-child, honestly. Duncan's brother was also open to discussing his experience with handling Duncan, and he even suggested cutting off ties to him. And so Keegan actually reached out to Duncan's brother, and they had a conversation through Facebook Messenger. I'll be reading the messages right now. And so Keegan reaches out to him and says, "Hey, this is one of Duncan's former friends speaking. Something pretty fucking horrid came up." And this is a screenshot showing Puppy Zero, which actually is Duncan, sending an image of child pornography to the victim in question, who I mentioned in my previous video. Originally, I wanted to keep the victim's name anonymous, but I'm not sure if I should. But some of my close friends, including Jack Winter and various others, have made a video talking about Duncan, especially since it's one of the largest scandals in the community's history. Apart from the Roszina Head debacle that went on last year. So, yeah. Like, if he's okay with me mentioning him on this, I'm just gonna say it. The victim in question was another one of my friends, D Laser Generate, who Jack Winter happens to be a close friend of, and the same thing could be said about me. Okay, so yeah, Keegan responds by saying, "Puppy Zero is Duncan. He drew porn out of an actual minor that exists in real life. Everyone is extremely concerned with his behavior, and he threatened suicide too. But I was unable to screenshot it on time. Keep in mind, I do not endorse any kind of harassment against him, but for the love of God, get your brother some help. He's repeated this behavior so many times that when this was discovered, that was the final straw." And this is the part where the real shit comes out. So Duncan's brother responds, and he says, and I quote, "I tried to get him help. He had multiple caseworkers through BJC, which is a healthcare company in St. Louis, where Duncan lives. He was unresponsive to the care he received. He made my entire family uncomfortable and even made my mother-in-law and wife fearful. The last straw for me was when he decided he could try violence in my house. That's why I kicked him out. BJC was informed of all of this and even picked up his things for him. All of his choices after that were no longer my responsibility. I did everything I could for years. He's a sociopath and beyond my scope to help." Yeah, like this guy is a sociopath. Duncan very much is a sociopath. He's pretty much like based on what he did recently and the fact that he got me kicked out of the UFMG over some stupid and petty bullshit, like everything he did was an act of sociopathy. And not only that, but it's also an act of psychopathy. Because like this, I like based on what I'm seeing, based on the evidence that was presented to me, I am inclined to believe that this guy is a fucking sociopath. Like either a psychopath or a sociopath, but this guy, what he's doing is just fucking deplorable. And honestly, I don't know how to tell you guys this, but yeah, like what Duncan, he was doing this shit on purpose. He's always been doing this shit on purpose. Each and every single thing that you've seen from Duncan thus far was completely intentional. He knew what he was doing was wrong, and yet he chose to continue doing it anyway. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys this, but like, this guy isn't more of a monster than Roszina Head ever was. He has become 10 times worse. Like, this, like, I would say that he's blind to the fact that his actions can and do harm those around him. But based on what I'm seeing here, Duncan basically knows what he's doing is wrong. Like, he knows that his actions can and do harm those around him. Because he's clearly been intending to do harm to those around him. Those who he pretended to care about. Those who he shared fake laughter with. Those who he pretended to cry for. To think that I once had an ounce of respect for this individual. I have nothing. Let's just continue. Let's just continue with this shit. Okay, so Duncan's brother also responds by saying, apologies for not responding sooner though. I didn't notice I had an outside message waiting. And Keegan responds by saying, you're good. Despite everything that's happened, he just won't leave anyone in the community alone. Not me, not Garrett, not Shadow. Hey, that's me! Not Kylie, none of them. I think the worst thing he did was draw porn out of D-Laser Generate. Better known as Al Hunter, who is one of his ex-friends who was a minor. Along with Roszina Head, who was Duncan's ex-girlfriend, who I covered in a previous video on January 4th of this year. Oh, and Kai as well, who is one of Duncan's ex-friends. Okay, and Keegan also says this, and this is the part where things get even worse. Okay, so Keegan also says, and I can't believe I'm admitting to this, but he actually groomed me into doing erotic roleplay with him on Discord. He was 22 while I was 17. I hope you're thoroughly disgusted with Duncan, because it's about to get exponentially worse as I read on. So Duncan's brother says this, like, this says it best. Best option is to sever ties entirely. He's been off the rails since he was little, and it's only gotten worse. Nothing BJC did seem to help. He takes any form of attempts at correction to be a personal attack and tries to guilt trip and manipulate anyone who calls him out. Like I said, he's a sociopath. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I really don't. I don't know about you, but this is the part where Duncan also did something really fucking stupid. And let's just say Duncan almost got arrested. So, to put it shortly, Duncan is a thief, too. According to eyewitness testimony from Jack Winter, back in October of 2019, Duncan once got caught by the police for trying to steal 2 DVDs from a Goodwill store. Those being the original DVDs of Fight Club and Cannibal Run. Yeah, so he basically got caught trying to steal DVDs of Fight Club and Cannonball Run. He got arrested and was taken in the police car. Unfortunately, he didn't serve any jail time as he was living in a residential shelter at the time. Yeah. That's another example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Duncan. Oh boy, I did not think that we'd have to get to this part, because this is the part where we talk about Duncan's so-called quote-unquote sex life. And I'm pretty sure, as we've already established, you guys know that Duncan is a porn addict. And around 2017, following when people in the POE, a community that I used to be a part of, before it ultimately became the UFMG, sometime later, and now it became the Worldwide Filmmakers Union, since Keegan's now in charge of it. Following when people in the community became a bunch of horny teenagers, Duncan eventually established a new project called POE After Dark. To make a long story short, the whole thing was just basically depictions of the POE members who keep in mind we're all a bunch of fucking minors getting it on with their waifus or husbandos or whatever. No evidence of the project exists, as it got deleted when Tumblr briefly banned NSFW content. Like according to this, one of the most infamous drawings on it was a depiction of Lukoa from Miss Kobayashi's dragon made with her breasts exposed, and in the background were two people, one of them being Garrett and the other being an inside joke character that no one would understand. This would eventually come back to bite him in the ass years later, once he drew Rule 34 out of art out of the laser generate, and I still can't believe he fucking did that. So basically, what I'm looking at is actually an image of the child pornography image that Duncan depicted himself, and my god, I want to fucking blow my eyes out. Like, I want to blow my fucking brains out. Okay, and Garrett actually did confirm this and made a statement. He said, "Note that I was 13 to 14 when he drew this, and Duncan was like 17. I think this was dated back to late 2017." Oh boy. And when D-Laser Generate realized that what Duncan did was illegal, he felt so embarrassed and disgusted that he decided to never show his real face on the internet again. And Jesus fucking Christ. Like, the memory came flooding back to Hunter when Tom brought up the question whether or not he had acknowledged Duncan's NSFW behavior online. He told him about this instance, then he told Kai, who later went digging through the hellhole archives. Personally, I'm glad that server is dead, because that was the server where my career ended last year. And once Kai found out about this, and found this after going through the archives, Duncan was exposed, and the Laser Generate got flashbacks that were so horrible that he actually went on his way to get Duncan rightfully banned from the Laser Discord server. So there was also a conversation between the Laser Generate and Mitchell Hang, who was one of the staff members on Laser Discord. I covered that conversation in my previous video regarding Duncan, and I still can't fucking believe that he did this. So yeah, Duncan's actions resulted in doing near irreparable damage to the public opinion on NSFW in the community, with a few exceptions. Various Discord servers deleted their NSFW channels, various memes and jokes were killed, and there is a possibility that some people started being traumatized from NSFW. In conjunction with this, it wasn't even just NSFW that got a bad reputation. Various mental issues began to develop, some places began to be deleted, and a worldwide panic over Duncan broke out. And like, as mentioned before, this whole clusterfuck of events disgusted Hunter so badly that he vowed never to show his face over the internet again. Duncan was also known for making retarded and shitty NSFW jokes about his friends simping for characters, which is a common occurrence in this community. I mean, have you seen what I've done, alright? Like, you're looking at a world-class simp. I mean, I simp for a lot of characters. I simp for a lot of people, and that's fine. I mean, look at me. Look at me. Have you seen what I'm like? Yeah, and most of these cases are waifuism, which is typically valid. So yeah, he made shitty jokes about his friends simping for characters, and unwanted NSFW comments, borderline harassment to members of the friend group, and more. This included making jokes about this in his videos. Notably, people who got these jokes included Garrett, the Laser Generate, as I've already mentioned, who was the victim of Duncan's grooming, and Louis Wolf, and Gemaconda, also known as Ruby Rhapsody, Lil Bonk Boy, and Keegan, and others who could be around Duncan. And this also impacted me as well, since I knew this guy for 6 fucking years. But this isn't where things get worse. Duncan hit his lowest point in a now deleted private Discord server in May of 2022. Let's talk about that, shall we? He was also notorious for having sexualized a character belonging to Flash Indigo, otherwise known as Tobias Boston, who is one of my other friends, who is also in this community. So yeah, I don't know. I have no fucking idea why did that? What was going through this guy's head when he was doing this shit? That's what I want to know. I really want to fucking know what ungodly force compelled this guy to think that doing this shit was a good idea, honestly. And the character in question was named Tataki Suniko. And basically, the only reason that she was sexualized was because of her big chest. I mean, if you've seen what the character looks like, then yeah. He did the same with Keegan's character, Michaela Pretz, who, keep in mind, is also a member of the Shadow Pro Wrestling roster. Albeit for the most part, he didn't mind if people sexualized said character, as he honestly kind of saw it coming. But that isn't even close to the main problem. The problem is that on his now deleted private Discord server, Duncan actually fucking groomed him into doing an erotic roleplay with him as the character. Sadly, there are no receipts to back this up since the server is now deleted. But as it was mentioned before, the server this took place in got deleted. But this fucked him up so bad that his pornographic addiction got worse. And I mentioned this specific piece of evidence in my previous video on Duncan. It was later discovered not long after his ousting that Duncan actually masturbated in front of Tomcat or Jack Winter on a Skype call, shortly after he was sent a lewd gif of Rhea's Gremory from High School DxD taking her clothes off. I mentioned this in my previous video, and just thinking about what Duncan said in front of Jack Winter when he was doing this, like, my God, like, this makes me want to commit suicide. Like, this is like fucked up beyond all comprehension. Like, but wait, things are getting even wilder. I hope you're thoroughly disgusted with Duncan enough, because things are gonna get really, really fucking bad. Because it doesn't stop here. Around the time Keegan and Kai-chan 2K, who is also Kylie or Kai, as I previously mentioned, around the time that they were dating, Duncan had the balls to draw pornography out of Roszina's actual self and trusted Keegan to hold on to it. And it should be worth noting that while Roszina is just as bad, yeah, she's fucking despicable. If you've seen the video I made on her on January the 4th of this year, you would understand all of the disgusting shit that she did. Like, while Roszina's just as bad, no matter what anyone thinks of her, she's asexual. Sadly, he deleted the pics like a fucking pussy. However, like, there are more evidence that prove that Duncan did send it at one point. He also objectified an unintentional back shot from one of Roszina's in real life videos, which is what the "not gonna lie, she looks fine as fuck" comment is in response to. I can't believe he actually fucking said that. Like, also attached is evidence that Duncan tried to sexualize her in DM groups and servers that she wasn't even in after Keegan's brief exile from the community. Okay, so Duncan actually did talk with Keegan a while ago, and the conversation went like this. Duncan says, "Hey, Keeks, considering how you brought up the whole sexual RP thing with you and Kai, and how you said Roszina is not into it, I didn't think she was anyway. I mentioned I keep the fantasies in my head. I'm gonna trust you with this picture. Please don't try to blackmail me with what I'm sending." Bro, this is fucking wow. This is like, my God. Little did he know that we were gonna end up blackmailing him like a year and a half later. Bro. And this isn't even the bottom of the barrel. He also cracked a joke that made Louis Wolf uncomfortable identifying as gender fluid, doing an RP using a character named Reggie the Femboy Mouse, who I don't really know about. But I'm just gonna read through this because there are actual screenshots that happened. Okay, so oh boy, this is gonna be some really fucked up shit. So Reggie would be like, would basically arrive at Louis' bedroom in this role play, and Louis was like, "You came, now come here," and then Reggie, like, let's just say this is the part where things get sexual, and then as soon as he unzips his pants, he's like, "Is that a pussy?" And then the cringe emoji, and he's like, "Bruh." Oh my fucking god. No. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. There's some even more. And there's another NSFW drawing that Duncan did here. And no. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I am not showing that in this video. This is some disgusting shit. And then he did some more stupid sexual shit. One of which was a joke that he cracked at Isaiah, who I also gave a shout out to at the end of my video discussing Roszina Head. And keep in mind, Isaiah actually does have a history of being sexually harassed. So this doesn't make anything better. It just makes things worse, considering the fact that Duncan knew that Isaiah had a history of being sexually harassed. Let's get right into this shit, shall we? Oh boy. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I have nothing to say to this. I really don't. Anyway, in one of Duncan's more infamous movies, which is basically a shitty Go Animate movie, or Beyond movie, whatever the fuck you want to call it, meant to be based off of the video game Among Us. He also inserted a sex scene between him and a character meant to be played by Kai-chan 2K. She was unaware of this and never even consented to it in the first place. So that just, oh my god. Up until later on where Keegan notified her of this. There is a link to the movie, which I am also going to be putting in the link in the description below. So the timestamp to skip to and stop at will also be mentioned there. And there are also receipts from when Keegan made Kai aware of this. Keep in mind that Kai has a long history of trauma relating to online sexual interaction, not counting anything from Keegan due to it being fully consensual, and also identifies as gray ace, also pan-romantic, but that's completely fucking irrelevant. So yeah, Keegan actually does show this to Kai, and yeah, apparently Keegan is fucking, wait, what the fuck did I just say? Oh, okay, so apparently Kai is, like, I'm surprised this actually went through. I don't know why Duncan decided it was a good idea to depict these two in a sex scene. He's like, okay, so, yeah. So, Kai-chan 2K says, "Thank you. Honestly, I don't know how to feel. He was obviously attracted to me. He made a Go Animate porno out of me. It just makes me quiver." He said, "He would have tried to make unfair advancements towards you. That pissed me off even more, knowing that he could have nearly pulled that shit, and it sickened me to death." And then Kai-chan 2K responds by saying, "If he actually tried to get with me, it would have been gross." Like, well, I want to, like, okay, so Keegan wants to whoop Duncan's ass. I want to beat the ever-living fucking shit out of him, especially since the guy got me kicked out of a community that I've been a loyal member of for 6 fucking years. I don't know how else to say this shit, but I think that's it for most of the sexual stuff, but it doesn't stop here. Like, there's some other horrid shit that he did. Like, another bad thing Duncan did was he actually milked Gary's death for clout by making up an episode of Bitch Show, which was actually a short-lived series that was created in the community. So basically, he came up with an idea where one of the characters in the series would use Gary's ashes as Kool-Aid by mistake, which is not only disrespectful to his death, but also rips off South Park. Like, my god, why the fuck would you come up with that idea? Yeah, and not only that, but he was also a beggar on the internet after his old janitorial cleaning job laid him off. Also mention are times where Duncan would beg for money for his drawings, as well as other people explaining their experience with Duncan's beggar antics. So there's some eyewitness testimony from Lil Bunk Boy. This is the same evidence that I mentioned last week. And yeah, he's done this to multiple people. And like, yeah, he's done this shit with multiple people, and he's tried applying for multiple jobs, and none of them have offered to hire him. Like, it would be it wouldn't surprise me one bit if all this horrible shit was a catalyst as to why no one wants to hire him. In addition to this, he has also demonstrated stalker-like behavior, trying to reach out to the people who rightfully cut him off via unusual methods or on Discord, if he wasn't blocked. So recently he tried reaching out to Samuel Kosh, better known as Sam20, and little did he know that he actually cut him off too. And little did he know that and Duncan also tried reaching out to Jack Winter, stupidly. I have no fucking idea why. He actually thought that he was actually gonna forgive Duncan when he obviously wasn't going to. Yeah, Duncan also messaged I forgot who these other screenshots came from, but and most infamous of all is when he tried to make a poorly worded cease and desist with the threat of parental contact on Keegan's email, which I will be showing here too. So yeah, Duncan actually responds to Keegan and says this: Keegan, this shit has gone on way too long, and you've caused far too much damage for my reputation and put my safety and livelihood at risk for telling my brother. The only way we could possibly end this debate is a one-on-one call. So if you can either hit my Discord or hand me your phone number so we can finally put this shit to rest. The damage you have done is unforgivable and will likely take a long time for us to finally make amends. But if you don't stop this smearing, I may have to get the legal system in place. If you refuse to respond in a civilized manner, then I'm gonna try to find your dad's email and try to and tell him how much of a danger you've been to my life for the past 2 weeks. Sincerely, Roy Duncan Burden. So Keegan responds to this, and he says, and I quote, "Dear Duncan, I don't care if I have caused you irreversible damage. You did this shit to yourself. I have already told you multiple times not to interact with me. Not on email, not on the phone, not on Discord, nowhere. If you don't learn to accept that your fate is sealed and you don't stop reaching out to me or try to contact me or my family in any way, I will not hesitate to tell the St. Louis Police Department everything you've done online, including grooming that poor kid. And I will make sure that a no contact order is put in place. Let this be your only fucking warning. Do not contact me anywhere, ever." From Keegan J. Salisbury, head of Worldwide Filmmakers Union. Yeah. And on another note, he made a comment that made my other friend Valerie Robertson, who also commented on my recent video on Duncan. There's a whole story regarding me and Valerie, but I'll get into that another time. Like, on this, like, he made a comment that made her pretty uncomfortable, especially since it's natural for people of any gender, whether cis or trans, to have facial hair forming, whether it's a small amount or not, and I will get into this. Okay, so Duncan actually made the stupid mistake of saying this, and he said, and I quote, "Dude, you don't need to know that info, though I would say if you want to identify as a woman, I'd probably recommend shaving." Like, I really don't fucking know why anyone keeps this guy around. And this guy, I question why I've wasted 6 years of friendship and loyalty with a guy who eventually ended up becoming a pedophile, groomer, abuser, child predator, homophobe, despite identifying as bisexual, transphobe, beggar, and a hypocrite. Honestly, I don't know why. I don't know why. And to make matters worse, when he was rightfully ousted from the UFMG community, he ended up trying to drag other people through the mud with him. And I was among those people who were mentioned in the list of people who Duncan was trying to take down with him. Like, I don't even fucking know. But, like, let's just say, based on the evidence that was presented to me, it definitely seems like Duncan does not have the capacity for self-awareness. So a lot of my friends have made videos discussing this same individual. KBOS did a video on him. Louis Wolf did a video on him. Keegan also did a video on him. Like there are lots of people who did videos on him recently. I will be putting a list. I will be putting a list of links to those videos in the description as soon as I finish releasing this video. But yeah, what Duncan did was fucked up beyond all comprehension, and I am pissed off beyond a reasonable shadow of doubt. Because, like, I thought that this guy was actually going to accept responsibility for his actions. But he can't, but apparently he does not have the capacity for doing so. And I'm looking at this specific screenshot from Duncan. And honestly, yeah, even Garrett had to come out and explain his experience with Duncan. And honestly, I feel really bad for Garrett and everyone else who had to deal with the pain and suffering that Duncan has caused for them. Like, I'm too lazy to get into the nitty-gritty of everything that happened, but work with me, guys. Things have not gotten any better. I just don't know why. I don't even know why this had to happen to, like, with a guy who I trusted for 6 fucking years. Like, at this point, when Duncan found out we cut ties with him, he was basically coping and seething, and then he decided to make the stupid excuse that, but they did this, like they have skeletons in their closet too. Bro, do you have any idea how fucking retarded you sound right now? Like, bro, after the evidence that came out, this is literally making me want to sock you in the mouth. I swear to God, Duncan, you are legitimately making me want to punch you in the face right now. And basically, like, he clearly knew that his actions would have an impact on others. But I feel like between this shit, there were either two options. He either didn't know or he didn't fucking care. And based on the evidence that was presented to me, I'm going with the latter option. If you're wondering why I'm taking this shit so seriously, it's because I don't appreciate the fact that there are adults in this world putting minors or children in danger. And that's something that we need less of in this world. Like, this shit is fucking reprehensible. And if you're wondering why I'm taking this shit so seriously, it's because I have a faint hope. I have a serious hope in my heart that I might be loud and abrasive enough to crack this retard's thick fucking skull and help him actually find a fucking clue. But the more I look through this evidence, the more I realize that's never going to fucking happen. This person is sick, twisted, and demented and clearly detached from reality. This person, like, this shit clearly shows that Duncan has no comprehension of morality. Okay, so yeah, Duncan, this is for you. I'm gonna say this right now. Arrogance, stupidity, and ignorance are the worst traits to have together. Rebel Shadow, come at me, bro. Now let's go back to discussing that atrocity that you have one whole part in and don't seem to realize why I was wrong. You basically recreated pornography of one of our friends without their consent, and it even disgusted them. So you basically have no legs to stand on. To call Duncan a piece of total shit would be an insult to shit, you know? I'm just gonna say that right now. With all the disgusting shit that I've seen here so far, Duncan has no legs to stand on. He wants to piss you off, and if he doesn't do that, he'll probably end up annoying you with his stalker-like behavior. There is no reason and no excuse for Duncan to have done any of this shit, other than anger fuel. Like, I don't even know who would be vile enough, repulsive enough, disgusting enough to think that doing this shit was a good idea. And then for him to actually go through with it, I gotta ask, Duncan, what are you? Like, I question why Duncan even had a job and he kept this shit under wraps for so long. So basically, the fact that Duncan's trying to get back into the community that we rightfully kicked him out of. Like, isn't it great that a confirmed child predator is trying to get back into the community? All right, Duncan, you fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Degenerate? No, that's not quite it. No, I think that word's too good for you. Lunatic? No, that's not quite it either. Criminal? No, I'm just gonna call you a pathetic excuse for a human being until I can find a description that properly suits your sick, twisted, demented, vile, repulsive, and disgusting ass. What reality do you live in? I really want to know. I'm genuinely curious. It's common knowledge that child pornography, whether produced or distributed, is illegal in and of itself. You should have known better than to do any of this shit. Honestly. And you should be very, very much ashamed of yourself for doing this shit. Hell, I have more morals and ethics than you do. And it's glaringly clear to me that you have no standards whatsoever. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to make raunchy jokes, but hey, I have standards unlike you. You mindless, degenerate piece of fucking shit. Like, you disgusting... What's the word I'm looking for? Like, you sad, pathetic waste of a used condom. You should be thanking God each and every single day and every night of every day that you live that whatever the fuck you sold your souls to before was stupid enough to give you a job. Because since you lost your job, I know for a fact that based on the evidence that was presented, and if it goes public, and it will go public, if anyone finds out about this, you'll most likely never have a job again. Like, literally no one will want to hire you. And based on the evidence that has been presented to us, I question anyone who would lower themselves so substantially to even reluctantly want your sick, twisted, demented, and poisoned mind around. Just leave us all the fuck alone and go back to the rock that you crawled underneath from. Yeah, I did say that I wasn't gonna hold back, and believe me when I'm telling you, I'm not holding back. Like, I cannot believe I wasted 6 goddamn years with this fucking faggot. Like, this guy does not deserve my respect, and this guy does not deserve my attention. Like, I can't believe the guy actually got a job as a janitor, and it makes sense because the retard didn't even fucking go to college. This guy's 22 years old and he didn't go to college. Instead, he chose to focus on his quote-unquote sex life. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, I'm going to college soon, and hell, I'm even learning how to drive. But Duncan apparently does not have the capacity for learning anything because he's so fucking retarded that he made the stupid decision of not going to college, but instead choosing to focus on his sex life. I mean, it makes sense because the guy actually has committed masturbation in front of my friend who was a minor at the time. Like, how the fuck and why the fuck did we even let this guy in? Why do we even keep people like him, why do we even keep people like him around? That's what I want to know. Like, Duncan's ex-girlfriend was reprehensible. I'm not even kidding. Roszina Head was fucking reprehensible. But the shit I'm seeing about Duncan is exponentially worse. Like, alright guys, it's time to give people a brief bit of an education on morality. Something that this community is completely devoid of. And that concerns me dearly. I mean, we have a person who basically fucked my life up and ultimately ended up allowing a pedophile in their Discord server and flagrantly refused to take action, like, without even considering the fact that she was putting children in danger by doing this. And what else do I have to say about that? That's also the same person who fetishized a 14-year-old. Well, it may not be a real person, but it's a character, but it's still wrong regardless. Meanwhile, we have a person who actually dated that individual and drew child pornography of a minor. So these people basically go hand in hand. I don't know about you, but between Duncan and Roszina, I don't know who is worse. I mean, I despise them both equally. But I despise Roszina more than I do with Duncan. But based on what I've been seeing with Duncan, this makes me hate them both equally. There is something I was gonna say earlier, but I'm not gonna say it because I am not gonna risk getting my channel terminated for hate speech or making threats of violence. So yeah, Duncan Burden is a toxic person and a very sick, twisted, and demented individual. Like, he's basically hurt the people I care about, and that is something I am refusing to forgive. And I know for a fact that I should not be forgiving any of that kind of shit. And there were some things I forgot to mention in my video talking about Roszina Head. So I'm just gonna mention them here. like it's weird how I remember when I was talking about nostalgia works defending Roszina Head before, like Roszina, you have an odd idea of friendship if nostalgia works is still your friend. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, I hate saying about this because this is a person who I despise wholeheartedly. Like it's weird how you claim that nostalgia works is still your friend, and if I'm being honest with you, he must be a better friend than you ever let on if he's still willing to be your friend after you relentlessly and ruthlessly like slandered him and insulted him and talked shit about him so viciously. So yeah, that's basically, well, that point was completely irrelevant, but it still needed to be said. Well, yeah, this is basically where I'm going to end my impact statement and eyewitness testimony. Christ alive, this video took longer to make than my other video talking about Duncan's ex on January the 4th. And honestly, I question why I made this video, and honestly, like I'm hoping that Duncan actually gets a fucking clue when this video is released. I don't even know why I'm even bothering to reach out to Duncan about this, because Duncan does not listen. It's like Duncan does not fucking listen. So I think that the more I try to become abrasive enough to help him find the clue, the more I realize that it's just going to be completely fucking pointless. And continuing to harp on this kind of situation is not going to be a productive use of my time. So, in conclusion, I wish you the best of luck in your future, Duncan. Because I have a feeling that once everything comes crashing down, you will have nothing left. Well, guys, we have actually reached the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and staying here with me throughout the entire shit show. I very much appreciate it. And I very much appreciate your feedback. And I want to say thank you to each and every single person who was able to provide me with all of this evidence. I'm hoping that we can keep making the world safer, one person at a time. So, yeah. And as soon as all this shit reaches the airways, and as soon as more people find out about Duncan's atrocities, he is F-U-C-K-E-D fucked. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Major shout outs go out to the same people who I mentioned in my other videos talking about this kind of community drama, but this is actually really fucking worth it because this was for a legitimate cause. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a beat, because I post new content almost every single day. Yeah, I am going to be taking the time to look more into this situation, and hopefully we get some more new updates, because this is actually something that I've really been meaning to talk about ever since these developments came out. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope everyone's having a great weekend. And that's pretty much where I'm going to end it. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and stay blessed. For now, I'm out. Hey, Duncan Burden, don't fuck yourself.